I look across the room and I see a group of people that may be able to associate with this season of life that had a public swimming pool. How many had a public swimming pool? Did you have the high dive? Yeah. So the high dive was that scary, scary place. You're at that high dive. You're what? 8, 9, 10 years old? And your friends are like, you can do this, you can do this. And you're like, I don't know if I can. Can I? Can I really? And at some point in time, all that positive pressure has now gotten to you the place that you jump onto those steps or stairs. Do you remember that feeling? And you start taking the step 1, 2, all the way to the top. You walk to the ends of the board and you look down at that high dive at the water below. Your head says yes, but your knees say no, right? And you're compelled to say, I got to do this. And your friends are down below like, come on, Angus, come on. Well, they weren't calling you Angus, but they were calling me Angus. You can do it, you can do it. And you stood, you closed your eyes, and you finally said, and you jumped, right? And then you hit the ground and you explode into a million pieces, right? No, you hit the water and what did you do? You came out and you're like, yeah, I did it. And what did you do right after that? You did it again and again and again and again. By the way, that was higher than I thought it was going to be when I jumped. Every situation in your life will cause you to face this thing called fear. And it will stop you in your tracks. The most human of all emotions is fear. Where do I go from here with my mic as well? That fear keeps you from all of life's best experiences. And as marketers, we're challenged with fear in many, many ways. We're challenged in the context of our career and of our person. And those that will choose to face the fear will often experience some of the best products of their work. So now we face this fear and we get to a place that we have to do something new. So think about all the different industries that we've gone through in life. By the way, that's us coming out of the water, right? It started off with a postman. The postman could come to your door and he would deliver mail, and here we are 120 years later and we're still doing that. We had a milkman who used to come to the door and deliver milk. Anybody old enough to, you don't have to answer that. You don't have to answer that. And then we had the butcher. The butcher that you would go down and you would have them, create your dinner. And during that time, every person knew those particular roles. They went in and it was Joe and it was Tom and it was Rick. They knew them by name. Hey, Rick, thanks for the milk. Hey, how's Sally? Is she doing all right? Congrats on your kid's graduation. Like, they knew the people. But then they had others like Joe the butcher. Joe the butcher, I love my sausages 6 inches long, right? And then one day, Joe the butcher starts serving me my sausages, and they're only 5 inches long. Hey, Joe, what's up with this? Joe, 6 inch. I like 6 inch weenies. Take it as you will. So all of a sudden now you tell your neighbor, do you know Joe the butcher is giving me 5 inch weenies? Where the heck is what is this? Where's the quality control? And if you told enough neighbors, what would happen to his butcher shop? It would be confronted, and it would have to change, or it would close. And here we are today with people with the power of a phone in their pocket, being able to give rates and reviews for products around the world. And now you have different companies that are having to face different challenges and different elements of this new nature of the world. And the power of people to just say, yeah, I'm done with you. We've taken a commodity of products and we've even put it into relationships. And now we just swipe left. So our human qualities of fear cause us to have to change as the evolution of time, the evolution of technology, the evolution of products continue to do what they do, evolve. And it can be exhausting. And now the caliber of human connection that we have, in many cases, is dissolving. People can't be friendly. People can't have conversation. They're really good at arguments. They're really good at getting critical. They're really good at giving their opinion. And something needs to change. Hi, I'm Angus Nelson. As you heard before, in all of our adventures, you could know us by thosecrazynelsons.com as our family travel blog. I also have a podcast called Up in Your Business, where I deal with the psychological and emotional elements behind this thing called success. And then I'm also now, that was an old bio, I'm now the president of the Agency for Life of Dad. Let me tell you a little about Life of Dad real quick. So Life of Dad, we have a community of 1.9 million on our Facebook page. And inside of that, we have groups which I'll share a little bit about later. And we're all focused on fatherhood. So we just celebrated like our Christmas, our like Super Bowl was Father's Day weekend. So last week was super, super busy. And we were trying to make a difference in dads' lives because nothing's cooler than when a man shows up to be a dad, a mentor, and a guide. So that's Life of Dad. Let's jump into our content for today. We're going to talk about honing your humanity. And in the element of honing your humanity, there's this whole element that we need to transition that place of courage. And we're going to go over a few things today. And that is this: ROI, KPIs, and your SOWs. And we know those terms in business context, but I've tweaked them a little bit, as you can see here. It's a return on intention, your key paradox indicators, and your statement of worth. We'll start with the return on intention. Here's the thing about marketing. In marketing, there's a lot of elements where people are basically throwing stuff against the wall to see what will stick. We spend more time concentrated on the outcome of like, is this going to work? Are we going to do this right? Or we look at the budget. How much do I have to spend? What we don't do is we get intentional about what it is that we're trying to do. What lives are we trying to impact? What futures are we trying to change? What if instead you focused on the why? Does it matter if it's HubSpot or Marketo? Does it matter if you're using Agora Pulse or if you're using some other, none of that matters if what you're doing doesn't have a purpose. And so here's this element of return on your intention. Like, you got to have a target. Woo! What's your target? Who's your audience? What's your goal? How are you going to measure it? And when you look at this from this human quotient, you have to start looking about how you're going to get involved in people's lives. Marketers are really great at interruption. I drove here from Nashville, Tennessee. It was supposed to be about a 6-hour drive. I hit traffic in 3 cities. 8.5 hours later, I'm finally in Lima, Ohio. Fantastic. And all the way, I'm interrupted by billboard, 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 billboard. How many of them did I take the time to read? None. I am so diluted by that, I didn't even look. I was listening to podcasts. Almost the whole way. And this element of interruption is the same thing that people have done with everything. Is that now I can't even go through my Facebook feed without getting interrupted. I can't go through any of my social feeds without getting interrupted. And this is what I mean by interruption, is you come in and say, hi! And I'm like, I don't know you. Did we make an introduction? Does this apply to my life? Like, that is an interruption. Versus, and this is what we've been doing with Life of Dad, is learning how to intersect a reality. Fatherhood, as an example, is this place where Guys, we're supposed to have it all together. We're supposed to be tough. We're supposed to be in charge. And most of us don't know what the hell we're doing. We're just improvising and making up as we can. And then, unfortunately, sometimes we're just kind of echoing the same faults our own fathers made. And there's very few resources available. So now all of a sudden, this marketing takes an opportunity for us to tell stories about, are you afraid? You think you're going to screw this up? Me too. Let's show you a different way. And all of a sudden, we've created an intersection and an opportunity. Opportunities are always inviting. Change is always hard. If you offer me change, most times, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to say no. If you offer me an opportunity, that means I can just kind of incorporate some concept, idea, or service that is going to help me along my way. All of a sudden, I feel empowered. Know this. You are not the hero to this story. Your brand is never to be the hero. Your brand is to be Yoda. Your customer is Luke Skywalker. Make the customer your hero. That's your target. Now, part of that is also your value proposition. What is it you are actually offering? How are you going to bring this transformation to your hero's life? When people get introduced to your brand, and I'm going to just take this to a very personal level, many of you are here today. Some of you even this morning met up somebody saying, "Hi, I'm Angus." You shook their hand, and what's the first thing you ask? What do you do? And then how that person answers that can sometimes be a mess. Well, I work for this company, and I kind of do this, and I kind of do that, and I want to do this. And you go through this diatribe of ridiculousness, or you're just kind of stumbling all over yourself, versus having something that's very succinct and very clear and understandable. If you hear nothing I say for the rest of this whole talk, this is what you want to write down. We are X that does Y for Z so that they can, and then what is the superpower you are empowering them to do? Who you are, what is it you actually do, who is it that you're serving, and then what makes you unique? What makes you special? What is that superpower? And you can use this both with your company as well as your person. When you shake someone's hand and you can say this to them in that very short moment, all of a sudden, they know exactly who you are. And if they can use your service or your product, they say, "Hey, we have to talk." Or they can refer you to somebody else. "Oh, yeah, you know who needs to talk? You need to talk. Hey, can I introduce you to somebody?" Bam. In the same way in your marketing should be so clear. When I see it, a spot, an ad, like I need to know within just moments what you're here to do. What is your invitation for my opportunity for transformation in my business, in my family, in my life? Next, our key paradox indicators. So life is paradox. Have you ever noticed that? You think it's one way, but it's actually another. We thought adulthood was going to be fun, and it actually ended up being like not so fun. I have these 3 children. The 2 youngest are 9 and 8, and they're like, "I can't wait till I'm a grown-up. I can't wait till I can drive. I can't wait till I'm like, pay bills. I can't wait till have to provide for your family. I can't wait till I cover your mortgage." Like, in the same way, like, there's these things of relationship that are altogether natural, but we don't always recognize it such. So we all want friends. We all want relationships. And sometimes you can feel lonely. And the paradox is we think people should come and knock on my door when I'm having a troubled time. Somebody should call. Somebody should text. Like, you should know, read my mind, know how I'm feeling. And nobody ever does. The paradox is when you want friends, you first have to be friendly. You take a seed and you want this seed to grow, and so you take a seed and you put it in the ground. What happens to that seed? The seed dies, and then it lives, and it becomes a flower, a tree. Like, life is the same way. There are elements in our business that we think we have to control, that we think we have to own. I got to own my brand. I got to own the tone. I got to own the like, I can't even put, something close enough with my logo. I have to go through legal. Like, some of that stuff you have to let go and let it die in order for it to live. In the same context, like, there's some other paradox. We think that we have lots of money, we have a big brand, lots of popularity. We're not going anywhere. We're the Titanic. We're too big to sink. Thank you, Brian, for stealing my illustration. Of course we're talking about Blockbuster, but look at all these other brands. Kmart, Toys R Us, welcome to the club, right? What about anybody? I bought my TV at Circuit City. Circuit City doesn't exist anymore. Like, I can't go to all these places because they never changed. They never died to what had always worked to then take on life of something new, which might seem scary. I look at these new companies, and these new companies said, well, what if? What if we could address those pain points that people find so annoying, and we could build something like better? And that's where we got Uber. That's where we got Airbnb. That's where we got all these things. Like, what if we had a different experience? What if we made it more human, more tangible? Hey, you know what? We can keep pitching to VCs all the time, and eventually, we're going to get funded. Or we could then create a website and just ask all of our friends and family, and maybe we could fundraise this thing and create this thing called Kickstarter. Like, they got very human in some expression, and everything changed. So I want you to take some time to think about what it is that you are delivering with your brand, delivering with your product in such a way that people engage and that people make contagious. Oh, I love that. By the way, my fatherhood card, I showed my kids Nacho Libre. They loved it. It's awesome. Now they're quoting it, it's my favorite thing too. So think this, people before product. Your customer should always be at the focal point of everything you're doing. What is their need? What is their pain point? You want to do some awesome research? Go to all of your feedback, all of your customer service, and look at all the things they say, and then steal their words. Their words are very human words. That becomes your copy. And you steal that copy and use it for all your products. One of the things about Netflix is, Netflix said, hey, I don't want to have to go through a store and wander on a Friday or Saturday night looking for some sort of movie to watch. What if I could just have it shipped to my door? Awesome. They disrupted Blockbuster and all the rest. But then they didn't stop there. They said, this technology is changing that now you could download it then you could get to your smartphone, and then you could subscribe, and then you could get family members, and then you could share, and now we could have a plateau of different value ladders. Holy cow, we've got a subscription model. The subscription model is repeatable. It's dependable revenue streams. Holy cow. Yeah, we've got all this money. You know what? Why are we paying all these different companies to make all these different movies? What if we made our own movies? What if we could cash in on our own creative? What if we then harnessed some of these actors and made them exclusive just to work on our shows? Like, they have not quit facing the next fear. That's how they've stayed on top and gone in front. Really interesting the way they're spending, if they're going to be able to maintain that. But that's a whole nother conversation. Kickstarter the same way. They keep iterating to make it easier, better, and more conducive to their customer. Then small is the new big. Some of these brands, instead of trying to take over the world, took it over one community at a time. Let's go into one city, and let's just focus on that one city until we get it right in that city. We make it customizable, personalizable, is that a word? We create a custom experience for that city because every city is going to be unique and different and different personality. And they just scaled accordingly. In addition, they created raving fans. Oh, you're a superhost. All of a sudden I have esteem. I'm a what? I'm a superhost. I'm better than everyone else. I have some kind of prestigious. And they made the customer the hero. They rewarded the customer for their involvement. They rewarded the customer for being a customer and for staying loyal and becoming an evangelist and an advocate. And Lyft the same way. Lyft said, hey, Uber, you're trying to take over the world. Good luck with that. We're just going to focus on one country. That's a headache in and of itself. And we'll start with our little cities, and we'll deal with American issues and American legal, and then we'll just kind of grow from there. Go deep to go high. Another paradox. Stop trying to just do everything for everyone because you'll please no one, right? That's the cliche. Instead, go really deep on a core audience. Find a niche of people that you can dive in deep. You were talking about Monster before. Monster, Red Bull, what did they focus on? The athletes and tech geeks. And they built their brand just off of those two niches. Like, find that core audience that's using your product and turn them into the heroes. Stop trying to do your product for everyone and just find that few that really go deep into their culture and their language and their experience, and then celebrate them and put on events just for them. Invite them into the process. Collaborate with them to build out your brand. And they become the powerhouses. Now, Amazon did it a little differently. Amazon started with products. They went deep and wide with lots of products, but it started with books. And then they started to add on some products. And then they started to partner products, and then those partners got other partners, and then we started drop shipping, and then we started logistics, and then we started monetizing those logistics, and then we realized our big money maker is actually in the data storage. So they started in one and went deep, and then founded other cores, and each one of those cores they dove deep. And that's why they have the foundation of the world right now, where it's like they're crazy huge and they're only going to get bigger. And their HQ2 needs to go to Nashville. Another piece here. We are all trying to do this personalization. We're trying to reach to all these different people, right? So personalization means I'm going to be all things to all people, but everyone's going to have an individual experience. The truth of the matter is we are not as individual as we think we are. You're not the special snowflake. I'm so sorry. You're not. We're a bunch of snowballs because we don't gravitate to ourselves in our loneliness because we all hate loneliness. What we want is community. So what we actually have are factions, groups of communities, lots and lots and lots of communities. And that's where you get to focus on who is your community. That's your snowball. Go get your snowball because we all identify with something. Every group, every movement, every political faction has come about because there was a group of people that said, you're just like me. I want to hang out with you. Cleveland Brown fans, I don't know how you do it, but you guys love each other, right? And we endure, and we persevere. Why? I don't know, you're a glutton for punishment, but you have each other. Right? Maybe we're going to get a win this year. Maybe. We all seek some. Why are we all in this stinking room? Because we're marketers. I'll challenge you with this, by the way. Go hang out with other people outside of marketing and you'll learn a ton. I always say that if you want, this is not even in my notes, if you want to experience change in how you do your business, it comes from three things: faces, spaces, and places. Change the faces of the people that you're hanging out with. Go to different spaces of industry and expose yourself to their conferences, their way of seeing the same mountain from a different perspective. And then the last thing is places. Don't always work in the same place. Go to a coffee shop, go to a park, get a different sensory experience, omnisensory, if you will. It's a little tidbit. So if we are all in a place that we are seeing communities and we're gathering together as one, all of a sudden there's a power to your brand. Again, your niche and your community, the snowball, right? It could be something that this community celebrates. We're all for the Cleveland Browns. Go Packers. What was that? No. You celebrate something, right? Or maybe it's something different. Now we throw stones at the same enemies. We're in this fight together. Damn those stupid Steelers. Wah, wah, wah. So here you have like your factions gather around the same rallying points. I don't care if it's Me Too. I don't care if it's Occupy Wall Street. I don't care. Like all of those have come about because of a movement where we found some commonality. Your brand has to think like a movement. Don't just be a marketer, be a movement maker. Movements start like this. We have a collective of people who have their same language. We have our same manifesto. We stand for the same things and we stand together. Now all of a sudden it's something I want to be a part of. Now it's something I want to own. And I'm going to wear your t-shirts. I'm going to wear your hats. And I'm going to tell everybody I know about this thing that I'm a part of. And if your brand can articulate a human connection on that level, you win. What's the manifesto for your brand? How do you articulate the people who associate with your service? Other brands have done it. On a big scale, if you're one of these big enterprise companies, you have lots of money to burn, you can do it just like Nike, just like Apple, just like Harley Davidson. How did Harley Davidson come about? Biker bars. Like they just created their own culture. And now we have like doctors and lawyers who live this secondary life by putting on their chaps and going for a ride on the weekend. But then we have smaller companies. Maybe you're with an SMB and you're like, I don't have that kind of budget. I can't build something like that. I'll tell you a couple of other companies you may not know about. Who here knows about Lady Boss? Any men's hands go up? No. Why? Because it's ladies, Lady Boss, right? This couple got together. She was overweight. She wanted to change her life. And they went through some financial hard times, and she made a choice that she was going to get fit. She was hardcore. She didn't just get fit. Then she went into bodybuilding. She did it faster than anyone else had ever done and went and won competitions for her fitness. And then she started telling that story on social, and it started to get contagious, and people wanted to follow that story even more. And they created a brand, and they said, well, why don't you just be a lady boss where you can own your life and take over the things that are holding you back? You have a different mindset. And so with Lady Boss, they created a manifesto. That manifesto turned into products and education pieces and supplements and turned into a 8-digit company. ClickFunnels. Hey, let's build a piece of software. Every ClickFunnels users, anybody know ClickFunnels? They're pretty cool. Kartra is another one, kind of in that same thing. But ClickFunnels, same thing. They created a cult around hacking funnels. And both of these created these manifestos that people could be a part of. And those manifestos in Lady Boss, you get to say these things like, I never give up. I give no excuses. I push through. I spread sparkle. I get it done, et cetera, et cetera. Like, what is the manifesto you can create for your brand? Create a cult. Or as Russell Brunson says, if you haven't read Expert Secrets, I highly recommend that book. Create a culture. Culture built in around this manifesto, where people are so attached to your brand, they tell others about it. Talk about it. Talk about this brand. Talk about this manifesto. Here's one of the things that we're really good at. We want something new. So what do? That thing, that vision we have for the company, everybody knows about that. We don't need to tell anybody about that. Like, that's old. all this new marketing. We want something new. We want something fresh. And yet, the people that are not your customers still don't know what you stand for, still don't know what you're about, still don't know your vision, and you think you're moving on to something new and fresh, but you need to reiterate the vision and cast the vision over and over and over again. I run a podcast meetup in Nashville. I started 2 years ago called Nashville Podcast Meetup. Really fancy. And it started with 6 of us at an Irish pub. And we would meet the second Wednesday of every month, and we've done it for 2 years, and now we're at 490 podcasters around the Nashville area. We come together once a month, and we bring in speakers, and we collaborate around podcasting so we can get better at what we do. Every single week, at the end of the meeting, I get up and I tell them that story. Wrapped with, we know how hard podcasting is, and oftentimes it can feel alone, and you can be in front of a mic and think, nobody's listening. And I'm here to tell you that your 600 downloads, 80 downloads, 60 downloads, our lives are being transformed by your voice in a very intimate manner. Keep doing it. The world needs you. I say that every single month because I never want the new faces to get lost and fall through the cracks without knowing why we're here. What is your brand doing to echo why you're here and why you do what you do? Keep articulating your value proposition. The second piece of that is do what you say. Act on it. If you say this is what you do, then do that. The other piece of this act is the fact that sometimes we say what we're gonna do. We're gonna, and no one will ever respect you for what you're gonna do. They only respect you for what you've done. Don't wait till things are perfect. Right, Brian? Get it out there and iterate along the way. Good enough is good enough. Execute. And the last piece of this puzzle, the statement of worth. Now, here's an interesting thing about the world. As much as the world's changing so fast and doing really awesome things, we get to this point where we've gotten lost. And we know that social media, especially during this political season, some of us have walked away or hung it up or people fasted or whatever. And the world is a place that is experiencing darkness, hardship. We're being confronted with things in ways we never were before because the power of social media and news can tell us things instantaneously about war, about danger, about things that we as children were never exposed to. And now our kids, if they're online, they're going to see it. And the news, that's what they do, is create hype and manipulate your emotions. I don't know if you know that, but news is all its whole purpose is just to heighten your anxiety. So I stopped watching the news. It's highly manipulative. In the same way, the opportunities for brands are to bring things from this place of just words to real life. How can your brand create this intersection with people's lives to bring light and life, to bring opportunity, to bring meaning and value? If you can tell that story, you win. The world needs more joy. It needs opportunities for me to see things through a different lens. And what if your brand can bring that intersection to my life that I know the opportunity for me to bring transformation? And you may say, oh, I'm a heating ventilation contractor. What the hell is that? Are you kidding me? Air conditioning is lovely. It's amazing. Tell that story. Who are your customers? What's the story they're telling? Oh my God, I'm so glad you guys showed up. Man, last night the air conditioning went out. It's 94 degrees. The humidity is high. We are sweating. I got babies in there. And you tell that story about how your boys came in, cleaned out all their ducts, flipped on the electricity, and everything worked. And now all of a sudden they could throw that 3-year-old birthday party. And everybody lived it happily ever after. Like, that changes the game. You're not just a heating ventilation contractor. You're bringing a parent the power to throw a birthday party. They're the hero. You just came alongside and helped them do it. Are you understanding kind of this little like mental hack, mental switches? Another way that you can create humanity in your brand is to create these groups that we're talking about. Within Life of Dad, we have 19 different groups on our Facebook page. Yes, we're at 1.9 million, but we have 19 different groups. Our biggest one is For Dads Only. That one is, I think it's 16 or 17,000. And then we also have groups for dads with kids with special needs. We have geek dads. We have sports dads. We have all these different conversations going around these different niches. What are the niches around your brand? I'm consulting a skincare company right now that is dealing with acne and kids with acne. What if they created a Facebook group that their parents could talk about their kids' struggle, self-worth, the anxiety, the social pressures? And the brand has very little to do with it. All they're doing is hosting it, giving it a platform. And then they bring in skincare experts, third party, to help navigate. Creating groups around your brand that people can share their expression also gives you insight into those pain points, because they're going to talk about things there that they would never talk about with you. People don't trust brands. People want to incorporate with other people, and you create that platform. So what is it about your product, your service, or whatever that you can create groups around? For us, we're creating a premium membership. So all of that stuff we do is free. How am I doing on time, by the way? My time clock doesn't. Okay, good. So Life of Dad, we're playing with this new idea called the Brotherhood of Fatherhood. Like, what if we could create a place where we bring in experts to talk about finances, experts to talk about childcare or education, experts that can talk to us about manhood issues, male ego, testosterone, etc. Like, we're trying to create a premium brand, again, a subscription model where guys can come and get an elevated, intentional experience. What do you do that with your brand? So, how do you market happy? We're talking about bringing joy. We're talking about, bringing these opportunities. Awesome. But I don't know what happy is. You do. You see it all the time. You just don't realize it. Coca-Cola brings out those polar bears every Christmas, and we have no idea why. Coca-Cola sells sugar water with bubbles, and they make millions, gazillions, and billions from it. You don't buy Coke. You buy happy. Look at their billboards if you happen to look up. Look at their commercials. Every bit of their Coca-Cola ad spend is around an emotion, an experience. They're not selling their swag. Target isn't talking about their products. Yeah, they have some seasonal sales, but it's some happy people woo, come to Target, bright colors. Oh my God, look at Old Navy. I don't even understand Old Navy commercials anymore. They're so weird. They're selling an emotion. They're selling this thing that is not the thing. Get it? You can sell joy. You can sell emotion. You can sell an experience. And this other piece here is the value. Within this value element of this joy is something that makes it more. So if we're creating a community and we're creating a group, maybe some of that can have some special, what did I call that? Ambassadorship, right? So now they get special offerings and discounts. They have those meaningful interactions where you're reaching in, like I get stuff from General Mills. So every now and then I just get a box that shows up with cereal in it, right? But it's often not just cereal. For Christmas time, they sent me a box of Chex with a bag of peanut butter, a bag of chocolate chips, and it had peanut butter, and it had powdered sugar, and then it had these little gift bags. There are 10 gift bags. I'm like, what the hell is all this stuff? What the heck? And in the bottom, it has this little card, and it shows you how to make puppy chow. And it says, we invite you to celebrate with your neighbors puppy chow for Christmas. Holy hell, I was tweeting that like crazy. And I sat down with my kids and we made a mess of the kitchen and we put them in the bags and we went and delivered them to our neighbors. It was amazing. Guess what? I'm talking to you about General Mills. Now I'm in. You got me. I'm an advocate for your brand because of something special you did. Or special access. They get insights, beta testing, something like that. Give people that experience. It's surprise and delight. Next, empower. Many times people hear about influencer marketing. I'll talk just a little bit about that. Influencer marketing, many people think you have to have like these influencers that cost you $1 gazillion and they have to have huge audiences. You don't need all that. You just need someone who does, a small audience, maybe even in your city. Maybe it's just one of your customers and they have friends. And you take those raving fans and you empower them with little additives. Hey, thank you so much for coming to our coffee shop. Every week I get to see your face. I make the same coffee. I got it waiting for you because I see you pull up in the car. This one's on us. Then they come back the next week and you're like, hey, you know what? We just brought out these new t-shirts. We've got a whole new line and stuff like that. I want you to have one. You're one of our favorite customers. And you keep doing little things like that. Guess what your favorite customer starts doing? Being your favorite advertisement. Because they're going to go and tell all their friends. Like, don't think like this has to be something big. Dial it back into something really small and doable and achievable and affordable. Invite them to everything that you're doing as often as you can and create a long-term relationship. Brands that do this well on an influencer marketing standpoint, in particular Kia I'm a part of, where they flew a bunch of us influencers for those crazy Nelsons, Kia will oftentimes give us a vehicle. And we'll go on one of our trips driving a Kia. And of course we talk about it. Best Buy, they'll fly everybody in and they'll send them stuff and they get boxes with electronics in it. One of my friends is one of the Best Buy ambassadors. He has got a whole closet full of electronics. And now when it's somebody's anniversary or birthday, they just go in the closet and say, what should we get them? I'm like, boy, that's the coolest thing ever. I need some Bluetooth microphones. Clorox is good at this. Like all these different brands are getting this whole understanding of building a long-term relationship. And that brings us to these micro-influencers, not those big influencers, but micro-influencers. They make the difference. I have an ebook that I created. You can download it for free at angusnelson.com/influence, where I talk about the 7 key elements of connecting with your audience. I tell you 7 ways that you can tie them into collaboration with your brand. You know about crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, crowd lending, all about the crowd. What if you build a crowd around your brand through all these human elements? If you haven't noticed, I talked about groups, I talked about inspire, I talked about adding value and empowering. This is the whole essence of what it means to give. Let your brand be generous. Generosity is the most powerful element and emotion, the emotion that it creates to our human race. Be generous in everything that you do. Humanity is the new influence, but the truth of the matter is, it always has been. We just forgot. So, what I told you about honing your humanity through returning on your intention. Don't expect great results if you never put the intention in. You'll never get your real ROI until the intention is in play. Your key paradox indicators and your statement of worth. Be meaningful. Face your fears. Stand at the top of that board on the high dive and jump. That's your new marketing strategies. Thanks so much, guys.